After several unsuccessful search for oil in Nigeria before the First and Second World War, the prospect of oil in Nigeria appeared gloomy that a notable geographer, Dudley Stamp, expressed pessimism by declaring that Africa had no oil in 1953. Surprisingly, Shell BP struck oil in commercial quantities in Olobiri in 1956, and by 1958 production had reached 5,100 barrels per day, which led to the first shipment of Nigerian crude oil to Europe. Moreover, the early 60s had the exploration rights in onshore and offshore areas adjoining the Niger Delta, which extended to other foreign companies, as well as the discoveries of more oil wells. In 1970, the end of Biafran War coincided with the rise in the world oil price, and Nigeria was able to reap instant riches from its oil production. Nigeria joined the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, in 1971 and established the Nigerian National Petroleum Company, NPC, in 1977. A state-owned and controlled company which is a major player in both the upstream and downstream sector. However, Nigeria could be said to have attained a production level of over 2 million barrels of crude oil per day in the late 60s and early 70s, although production figures dropped in the 80s due to economic slump. The year 2004 saw a total rejuvenation of oil production to a record level of 2.5 million barrels per day until the fluctuation in annual oil production, especially in 2005, a situation which was attributed partly to security problems connected to violent militant groups in Africa. Despite that, Nigeria still stood at the home to the second largest proven oil reserves in Africa. Having gained strength in the sector, by 2014 the country was producing more than 1.9 million barrels of oil per day. Nigeria was ranked at the 11th largest oil producers in the world. This continued as the country produced around 2 million barrels per day between 2015 and 2019. At the beginning of 2020, Nigeria's daily oil production exceeded 2 million barrels but gradually decreased to 1.14 million barrels per day during January 2021, the lowest value recorded in the last years.
If you understand the genesis of their production in Nigeria, then we understand very well that the time like this will always come. Oil was discovered in Nigeria in 1907, and in 1907 to 1970, Nigeria was producing as high as low as 5,000 barrels per day.
Yes, sir.
Then after 1970, Nigeria had the first oil boom of 1 million barrels per day. Fast forward again, we were producing as far again as 201. That's about 2005, 2006 upwards. We were producing as far as 201 million barrels per day.
Yes, sir.
Right? But when pandemic happened, when pandemic struck, this was an occurrence that the whole world had not seen before. Definitely, the production level came down, dropped down from 201 to about 1.98, then from 1.98 to about 1.45, from 1.45 now to about 1.2 million barrels per day, and that's what we have as of today. Now, what does this tell us? This tells us very well that there are occurrences that has actually happened to allow such decline in oil production, and one of these occurrences is the vandalization of the pipeline. Two again, it's when you have less investment in the infrastructure in the oil sector. Definitely, you will also have a decline in it also too. Then three, the militant issues that we have across board. This is another issue again. So if you look at this issue, it is actually bound to happen that we're going to be having this little decline in it. However, how soon has to come with? Look at what is on ground. Look at all indicators, all statistics. I want to know statistics now. I'm talking about our growth. When we're in pandemic, Nigeria slided into recession. After recession, we had a growth of about 0.11%, which was an improvement to what we had in pandemic, about minus 4.81%, and we had about 0.11%. From 0.11%, we had another increase again. So if you look at it, you will see that Nigeria is bouncing back very soon. However, inflation rate before was 17.86%. As of today, inflation has also reduced to 16%. So if you look at these trajectories, it will tell you that Nigeria is getting more better day by day. So all these indicators, for example, in time past, look at the issue of electricity in time past. We had issues that nobody could really say, I'm expecting light. But today, there are areas at which you could be expecting light for 18 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours, 8 hours, and 6 hours. So in some areas, you know that, okay, I have light in 6 hours, for 6 hours. So they have light, in 18 hours. Okay. So before, this never happened. But now, we can say and we can see that this is the trajectory to economical change. So in no time, Nigeria is going to bounce back. Now, this is it now. Let me just give you an indication again.
All right.
Compare Nigeria to the to US, for example. People were saying that the amount of gas, the cost of gas is extremely escalating, right?
Yeah.
And that today, 12.5 kg can be bought as high as 8,750 in the market, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you know this is not Nigeria is not the only country that this actually affected. Look at US, for example. Gas is bought at about $1.87 before. As of today, gas in the US is about $5.65. So it means very well that if you look at these issues are just effects. Are just effects that actually happened on the course of the pandemic and recession that happens to the whole world. But in the real sense of it, economically, Nigeria is bouncing back. We are doing better. Look at Dangote refinery, for example. Look at the capacity that Dangote refinery will be producing. To put a shock or to put an absorber to other production level. So by the time we had Dangote production, so what we are producing right now, we will see very well that Nigeria is bouncing back.
Okay.
Is bouncing back. It is better we are in this now than to now suffer in times to come. Okay. Nigeria is bouncing back. Nigeria is better. Nigeria will be better.
Currently, Nigeria has lost its Africa's top oil producers status to Libya, as its crude oil production falls for the last month, amid lingering supply disruption, according to a new report by the Organization of the Petroleum Export Countries.
It's not something more escalated. Why? Because the difference between it is actually very negligible. I want to be very negligible. I'm not saying the difference about 45,000 barrels is not big. It is big, yeah. But at the end of the day, if you look at it, Nigeria is not the only one that is battling this issue right now. You know what? So the truth is, we will bounce back. Nigeria will bounce back in as much as the trajectory of the government goes through. If you know what the government is doing right now, the government is borrowing to make sure that they invest in capital projects. And these capital projects are what what is good for the sector. We need to keep investing in infrastructures. If you look at our budget from time past have been a deficit budget. No country, no nations runs a deficit budget, and expect development. Only a nation that works on infrastructure development expect economic growth, and that is the trajectory of the government. So as of now, we might be expressing this right now, but if you look at the body language of the government, it is meant to salvage these kinds of deficits in the long run. There are two things that have bedeviled Nigeria since before now. What are those two things? One, corruption. Two, physical indiscipline. Okay. The only way that you can stabilize an economy an economy is to diversify an economy, especially when you are an oil-driven nation. We cannot keep depending on the oil, and this is what the government have seen. We cannot keep depending on the oil. A market that is extremely very volatile cannot keep depending on the oil. So the only thing you can do is to export more. Export more, there will be stability, and this is what the government is doing.
Confirming some of the challenges in oil production, the Vice President, Professor Osibancho, asked the mid-time retreat of the President, Muhammad Buhari's second term, said the various shutdowns in some of the wells contributed to low production and impacted the country's revenue. Also, this figure expressed a decrease due to the impact of COVID-19 and the related lower demand, which also led to price to sink.